Hello there. Are you comfy and cozy? Good, because tonight we have a very special story to share. So let's begin. Let's try something together. Just for a moment, can you close your eyes? Imagine, what if there was no light? No beautiful colors, no warm sunshine on your face, not even the smiles of the people you love. Okay, and now, keeping your eyes closed tight, imagine if there was no sound at all. What if you couldn't hear your favorite song or the sound of your friends laughing? What if you couldn't even hear someone calling your name? This quiet, dark world, well, that was the world a little girl named Helen Keller lived in. And her story is the one we're going to share tonight. You see, Helen was born a long, long time ago. And as a brand new baby, she was so happy and curious. Her world was just like yours, full of bright sunshine and sweet songs and so much love. But then something very sad happened. When she was just a tiny toddler, not even 2 years old, she got very sick with a high fever. Of course, her parents were so worried, and she did get better. But when the fever was gone, her world had changed completely. She couldn't see her mother's face anymore. She couldn't hear her father's voice. The light and all the sound, they were just gone. As Helen got a little bigger, she started to feel, well, she felt lost inside her quiet, dark world. Can you imagine not knowing why people were moving their mouths but no sound was coming out? Or trying so hard to tell someone something but they just didn't understand? It must have been so confusing and lonely. And because it was also frustrating, sometimes she would get very upset. But it's so important to remember this. She wasn't a bad child. Not at all. She was just a lonely child, all alone, trying her best to find her way. Her parents knew she needed help, but they didn't know what to do. And just when they were starting to lose all hope, someone wonderful arrived. Her name was Anne Sullivan, and she was a very kind and patient teacher. Now, Anne knew that Helen was a very smart little girl. She believed Helen could learn anything, so she started by giving Helen a doll. And then she took Helen's other hand and gently spelled the letters D-O-L-L right into her palm. At first, though, to Helen, it just felt like little whittles. It didn't mean anything. Not yet.
But Anne, she didn't give up. Not for a second. And then one day, standing outside in the yard, something truly magical happened. It was a moment that would change everything.
Anne led Helen over to the old water pump. She put one of Helen's little hands right under the spout, and she started to pump. Can you feel it? That cool water splashing and running over her fingers?
And while that cool water was flowing, Anne took Helen's other hand, and very carefully she spelled W-A-T-E-R. And then, suddenly, Helen stood completely still. It was like a tiny light switched on deep inside her mind. The feeling of the cool, wet stuff on one hand suddenly connected to those wiggly shapes in her other hand. She understood. This was water. Everything has a name.
It was like a key had finally unlocked a secret door in her mind. Helen was so excited. She pointed to the ground, and Anne spelled earth. She hugged Anne, and Anne spelled teacher. By the time she went to bed that night, she had already learned 30 new words. Isn't that incredible? From that day on, Helen's world just kept getting bigger and bigger. What was once so small and dark was now bursting with words and new ideas. She just couldn't stop learning. And pretty soon, she wanted to do even more than just spell with her hands. She wanted to learn how to speak with her own voice. Now, this was very hard to do. Anne taught her by letting Helen put her hands on her throat to feel the little rumbles and vibrations when she talked. And after years and years of practice, Helen spoke her very first sentence. She said, "It is warm." It was like another miracle. And you know what? She didn't stop there either. Helen learned how to read books with her fingers, using special little bumps called Braille. She learned how to write her own stories, and even how to type on a typewriter. And then she did something that almost nobody thought was possible. She went to college and got a degree, just like anybody else. When she grew up, Helen traveled all over the world, sharing her incredible story and giving hope to so many people. And she once said something very wise. She said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision."
What she meant was that having dreams and big ideas inside your heart, well, that's the most important kind of seeing there is. And so Helen Keller's life became like a beautiful, bright star in the darkest night sky. It was there to show everyone what's possible when you never, ever give up hope. So tonight, as you snuggle into your bed, I want you to remember the story of Helen Keller. Just hold it there in your heart for a little bit. Just think about it for a second. If a little girl, all alone in the dark and the quiet, could find a way to fill her world with so much light and find her voice to share with the whole world, just imagine, what wonderful, amazing things could you do? Okay, now it's time to close your eyes, have the sweetest dreams. Good night.